Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. My name is Zach, and this is another edition of Red Pill News. I hope everyone is having a lovely day. We've got some incredible news to go through today. First of all, an update from Rudy Giuliani on the new case against Burisma in Ukraine. Apparently, authorities have seized a large sum of money, which was meant to be used as bribes to stop this court proceeding from taking place. Next, we're going to touch on the situation in Atlanta. Apparently, a large portion of the Atlanta PD called into work last night. They refused to go in after the crooked DA, Paul Howard, charged the officer in the Brooks Wendy's incident with 11 felony counts. And the officers of the LAPD Transit Authority are also joining suit. We've also got some information from an ex-Trump advisor, Walid Fariz, who has spoken out about Obamagate and the way it all began. And James O'Keefe and the Patriots at Project Veritas have another whistleblower, this time from Facebook. And it looks like they are guilty of prioritizing hires based on H-1B visa applications, people from China and Korea. That means they are discriminating against all other people. And guess what? That's illegal. We've also got some new information from Catherine Herridge on the Bolton book debacle. Bolton might be looking at some serious prison time. New DNI John Ratcliffe has also spoken out about it. And finally, there is something funny happening in North Korea. Not only have they blown up their joint liaison office with South Korea, but it also looks like they might be attempting to sabotage the election in November. Or is it just another play from the Dim's handbook and the clowns in America? Well, we're going to talk about all of it, and we're going to decide. Please, everyone, do sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a brief word from our sponsor. During a recent vote, the U.S. Senate has agreed to give law enforcement agencies access to web browsing history data without needing to obtain a warrant first. According to Senator Ron Wyden, who opposed the bill, getting access to somebody's web browsing history is almost like spying on their thoughts. This level of surveillance absolutely ought to require a warrant. Well, it's now more essential than ever to browse the web using a VPN or virtual private network. The VPN that I choose to use is Virtual Shield because it's the fastest, easiest, and has a plug-and-play 30-day free trial. Here, let me show you guys how easy it is. All right, so here we are. We'll go to what is my IP. You can see it's right there. Now, when I connect to Virtual Shield, that will mask my actual location, and it now shows that I am here in Chicago, Illinois, and my location is secure. Now, Virtual Shield is the easiest to use, it's the fastest server connections, and it offers a money-back guarantee. And due to the recent pandemic and all the trouble we're seeing in the world right now, Virtual Shield wants to offer a 50% off deal on all VPN plans and all premium add-ons, including Protection Plus, Residential Access, and VIP performance plans for as low as a cup of coffee. Sign up for a 30-day free trial to Virtual Shield VPN and see what the hype is about. You've got nothing to lose. Please visit virtualshield.com/redpill78. That's virtualshield.com/redpill78, or click the link in the description or the pinned comment. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel. All right, guys, thanks for sticking around. First of all, today we have this incredible update from Rudy Giuliani in regards to the Biden Burisma corruption investigation taking place once again in the Ukraine. Now, Rudy Giuliani reports that Ukrainian police seized $6 million in bribes, which were intended to pay to kill the new case into the crooked corporation Burisma. Now, this money is a follow-up to the multi-millions in bribes that Joe, Hunter, and President Poroshenko earned to leverage their offices to kill the original case. Of course, all of that was covered up. Now, here is a very nice close look at the American dollars in a bunch of bags, which were meant to be used as bribes. Here is, of course, Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. Yeah, let me get out of the way there for you. And then we have this guy right here. I don't exactly know who that is, but I don't think it's Petro Poroshenko. Let's go take a look at some more in-depth reporting from Fox News, because this actually happened a couple of days ago. All right, so the story goes that on Saturday, the Ukrainian officials announced they intercepted the $6 million in bribes, which was going to be used to stop the criminal investigation into the president of Burisma, which is, of course, the natural gas company at the center of President Trump's impeachment investigation. Now, here is a photo from the news conference where officials actually displayed the U.S. currency that had been seized. Now, Ukrainian's current anti-corruption prosecutor, Nazar Kolodnitsky, said that former Vice President Joe Biden's son, Hunter, who once held a seat on the board, was not complicit in the bribe attempt. But I suppose that it's early days and we may find out something else in the future. Now, basically, 3 people, including a high-ranking tax service official, have been detained in connection with the attempted bribe, officials had said. Now, Burisma claims the company had nothing to do with any bribe attempt. They said neither Burisma Group President Mykola Zlochevsky nor other employees of the company have any relationship to the voiced events. Zlochevsky didn't ask for anyone to commit any actions of wrongdoing and never contributed to such actions. But with Burisma being one of the Ukraine's largest gas providers and being at the center of politically tinged investigations into the United States, you have to wonder if anybody connected with Burisma has their hands clean or if they are going to be perpetually dirty. Now, it was in 2014 that Biden joined the board of Burisma when his father was still vice president. Now, with Joe running as president, of course, people are trying to use the idea that the United States would go after Joe Biden for committing a crime or his son for committing a crime could only have something to do with the fact that Joe Biden is running. But we know that Biden can't pack more than 5 people into an empty school gymnasium, so I don't think President Trump has very much to worry about. And of course, the entire thing was kicked off when the original prosecutor general, Victor Shokin, was allegedly pushed out by Joe Biden because he was delaying a $1 billion loan from the United States to the country until Shokin was forced out, because Shokin was the one who was leading the investigation into Burisma in the first place. Now, with a new government in charge in Ukraine and a new investigation happening into Burisma, I think that the Bidens are starting to feel the heat. So we're going to keep our eyes on this story as it is developing. All right, and next, in a heartwarming move of solidarity, Atlanta police called off the job last night after now former officer Garrett Rolfe was charged with 11 felony counts, including murder, by crooked Fulton County DA Paul Howard, who is currently under investigation by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation for misappropriating $140,000 from the people of Atlanta, put it right into his own pocket. Now, there were reports all over the place last night that officers in Atlanta had walked off the job after the charges were filed against Rolfe. Now, this is in regards to the death of Rayshard Brooks, which took place over the weekend. The Wendy's where he was at got burned, people started rioting, and it's been a lot of general unrest. Now, ever since then, tempers have been flaring, and we've been wondering what's going to happen to Officer Rolfe and if he's going to be charged, considering the current climate here in the country. Well, now, since this has happened, we know the police of Atlanta are not going to stand down and allow this to happen. One of their own has been attacked, and unfortunately, he had to use his weapon in the course of his job as a police officer. This is something that police officers must maintain the right to do. It is a tragedy anytime someone loses their life, whether it's in a general traffic stop or if it is a crook or a hoodlum that does them in. But either way, it's a tragedy. However, this was a completely warranted incident that took place. The person in question grabbed his taser, he turned around, he pointed it at him, he discharged it, he tried to run, and unfortunately this is what happened. Now, there were at least 3 different areas in Atlanta. I believe they have it set up into different groups, but those 3 called off, and apparently there were, large sections of time on the police scanner where there would be no officer present, there would be no dispatcher. When they would call in a crime, it just was a code 12 over and over again. People were not there to respond to it. And I think that this is going to do a lot to show the elite of Atlanta what it's like when you don't have police protection. What happens when your city or your town is not protected by the men and women in blue? Well, it's going to fall into disarray. It will be complete chaos. And go ahead and watch Escape from New York or Escape from LA if you want to know what it's going to be like. Look to the Chaz, look to the Chop in Seattle, Washington. That's what it's like when you don't have police protecting you. Now, with these police calling off, they are not the only ones. It looks like the same thing is happening in LA, in the LAPD Transit Police. They are showing solidarity as well. Let's take a look at that. So yesterday, after learning of the charges against Officer Rolfe, over 40 LAPD transit officers also called off, and this was after 43 skipped work on Monday. Why would these men and women want to go and put their lives on the line if they know that the people they answer to are not going to have their backs? Why give them weapons to defend themselves if they're not going to be allowed to use them? The sad thing is that now that Officer Rolfe has been fired and he's had these charges pressed against him, I think that any jury somebody with an open mind and who's going to look at the evidence is going to realize that the crime he's been charged with is not the crime that was committed. The crime was committed by the assailant on the police officers, not the officer doing his duty, upholding his oath to protect the citizens of the area that he patrolled. Unfortunately, a man lost his life, and this officer and others like him have been forced to discharge their weapon in the course of doing their duty as an officer. But the person that lost his life, Rayshard Brooks, he was killed after resisting arrest. He wrestled with the police. He punched one officer in the face, and he stole his taser and fired it at the officers. Now, the 11 charges against Officer Rolfe included felony murder. I don't see him being successfully convicted of that. The same can be said for Derek Chauvin in Minneapolis. Now, Wednesday night, with the calling off of these officers, there was understandable chaos and uncertainty taking place in Atlanta, and now with the same thing happening in LA, I think that people are going to be sweating a little bit. The sad thing about this is that the liberal mayors and governors of these areas, these cities, they're happy to allow this stuff to take place as long as they keep it in the poor people neighborhoods. As soon as it gets to the rich people neighborhoods, that's when they have a problem. Methods and I talked about this on Occam's Razor earlier. Now, the Antifa-Stannies of Portland were trying to set up their own autonomous zone. They called it after some person, I didn't recognize the name, Paul Krugman or something like that. But unfortunately, it happened to be in the same spot where the mayor of Portland had a condo. So, of course, he could not allow that to stay around. He had to break it down and move them out of there. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for the people of Seattle. The mayor doesn't live in that area. It's just a bunch of normal people. You cannot have a zone without police. You cannot have a zone which is ruled by lawlessness, because that is going to spread out. People are going to get hurt and crime is going to increase. I really hope that with these officers calling off in LA and Atlanta, the elites who want to disband the police are going to have another think coming. All right, now next, former Trump advisor Walid Fariz has spoken out about the origins of Obamagate, and it's his opinion that the whole thing began with the secret Iran deal and, of course, Obama's domestic spying on Trump officials. Now, this is all coming from an article written by Lee Smith, which came out in May in Tablet Mag. Now, he opens the article with this strange discussion that former President Obama had with incoming President-elect Trump. Now, he advised President Trump against hiring Michael Flynn. This was in November of 2016, just a couple of days after President Trump had that upset victory against Hillary Clinton. Now, of all of the very important things that Obama could choose to discuss with President Trump, he chose talking about hiring Michael Flynn. Why would he not want President Trump to hire Michael Flynn? Well, obviously, the fact this conversation occurred, it revealed a lot about President Obama and his contempt for General Michael Flynn. Why he would not want him in there? Well, there are some very specific reasons. The article asks, why was General Flynn Obama's #1 target? Why was his name unmasked by multiple individuals after the 2016 presidential election? Well, the answer is that Obama saw Flynn as a threat to his legacy, and this was all rooted in the July 2015 nuclear agreement with Iran. Now, well before Flynn signed up to work on the Trump campaign, he had long talked about what a catastrophe it was for America to align their interests with a terrorist state. And with him now working in the campaign and potentially poised to actually work in the administration, he was in a position to undermine that deal, to completely dismantle it. And it's the contention of the author of this article that Obama started the Russiagate collusion conspiracy after the election solely as an effort to stop General Flynn from joining the incoming president and for them to be successful. What's even stranger about it is that Obama has recently publicly criticized the Department of Justice and their decision to withdraw their case against General Flynn. It shows how personal this fight is for him to get General Flynn prosecuted so that he can no longer meddle in Obama's legacy, in what he wanted to do. He clearly wanted to align America with Iran. He wanted to help foster that state and help make them a greater global power. But with President Trump in office and with General Flynn on the job, there's no way that is going to happen. Now, apparently, it was the Iran deal itself which was reported to be the final straw that broke the camel's back for President Trump, because Obama had been working on it for years, and when President Trump found out about it, he knew he had to run for president of the United States, because if America aligned itself with Iran, all bets were off. It was not going to be a good thing. So once President Trump began his run for president, I think that was the moment that Obama put his domestic spying campaign into action, because if President Trump took office, he knew that his deal with Iran was not going to survive for very long. And General Flynn made it very clear that he wanted to undo that deal with Iran. He broadcast his determination to find the documents detailing the secret deals between the former president and Iran and publicize them. And with General Flynn on the job, the outgoing administration was keen to shield the JCPOA, this deal. Obama's diplomats consulted with their European counterparts and gave the clerical regime more sanctions relief, even after the Senate agreed with a 99-0 vote to renew the Iran Sanctions Act. Kerry called his Iranian counterpart to tell him not to worry. Basically, over the objections of Congress, Obama and Kerry worked to make Iran feel safer, to give them more freedom on the global stage so that they could set this up as a global powerhouse. And General Flynn's determination to undo the Iran deal was grounded in his own experience in two Middle Eastern theaters of combat, where he saw how Iran murdered Americans and threatened American interests. Now, we get to the part where Walid Fariz has a comment on this. Now, according to Fariz, Barack Obama was worried that the incoming administration was going to unwind this Iran deal, so he did all that he could to hamper President Trump's early foreign policy efforts and to take down the Trump administration. So that takes us to the idea of the shadow presidency. Every time President Trump would go somewhere in a diplomatic mission, we saw Barack Obama trailing in his wake, doing the exact same thing, continuing to work with his former allies across the globe, and even if they were no longer in power, he would meet with them and they would attempt to see what they could do to undermine President Trump at every step of the way. However, we've got Q-Team, we've got the Patriots. All of the Patriots in this fight know absolutely everything. They have it all. So unfortunately, as much as Obama wants, he cannot undo his own undoing. As we stand here today, the wheels of justice are turning, but they are continuing to move. And although many people don't like it, many people don't like the speed by which this is happening, it is actually taking place. So all we need to do is be a little bit patient, and we will see exactly the end result that we want in the end. Obama is no longer in power. His people are no longer in power. The actions they have taken have been treasonous. They have violated the Logan Act and so much more, and they are not going to win this fight. We will be victorious, and America shall stand number one. Now next, Project Veritas has a brand new whistleblower, another one from Facebook, and I'm actually hoping to get them on the program here in the very near future. Well, essentially, the claims from this new whistleblower are that Facebook's HR department were prioritizing H-1B visa hires, specifically from China and from Korea. It came from a confidential Facebook memorandum which stated priority may be given to H-1B applicants from China and Korea to foster larger communities of diverse workers at Facebook. Now, the memo also framed benefits to the company for prioritizing foreign nationals over Americans. Now, of course, Facebook has denied the authenticity of this leaked H-1B memo. Now, the policies from the social media giant in regards to H-1B hires are not public, but unemployment is skyrocketing in the United States, specifically as a result of cheap labor being flown in for Silicon Valley companies just like Facebook to hire H-1Bs. Now, are they actively hiring H-1Bs so that they can diversify their workforce? Or are they doing it so they can scrimp and save on salaries because they don't have to pay these people as much money? But what they're doing is creating a larger problem of homelessness here in the United States. The Facebook whistleblower in the video provided by Project Veritas and James O'Keefe goes into great detail talking about the homeless population in San Francisco in particular, because they have a whole bunch of people who are Americans with degrees who are unable to find work because instead these companies are choosing to hire the H-1B visa hires instead. Now, the larger question at play here is, are they actually doing this? Because if they are, it is an illegal practice. They are discriminating against American hires, and they are hiring outside of the country on purpose for whatever reason. This is a major violation of the law, and I really cannot wait to see what comes up from this in the very near future. Keep your eyes open on this channel. I am hoping to have that Facebook whistleblower here very soon, and go ahead and watch the video yourself from Project Veritas because they deserve the view. All right, now in regards to the book that John Bolton is attempting to publish that the U.S. government, the Trump administration, is suing to stop. Well, sources close to the intelligence community have revealed to Catherine Herridge at CBS News that the unclassified and classified declarations in the DOJ filing lay the foundation for possible criminal prosecution for unauthorized disclosure of classified information if the DOJ ultimately decides to go that route. Now, CBS News was told the classified declarations include highly compartmented intelligence from fragile collection methods, including human and signals intelligence that could be compromised. This is among the most sensitive and mandates special handling and limited access. Now, the sources said that foreign governments can analyze this information and understand how the U.S. government collection is done, and it may change the way they communicate, effectively going dark, meaning that the United States government will no longer have their normal methods of collection. Now, DNI Ratcliffe has spoken out about this. Here we have another page highlighted with Catherine Herridge's pen. It's a highlighter this time, and she is pointing to could result in the permanent loss of valuable signal intelligence source and cause irreparable damage to the U.S. signal intelligence system. This was declared by Paul Nakasone. Paul Nakasone, of course, being the guy who heads up the National Security Agency, the Wizards and Warlocks. This is big news right here, and if John Bolton wants to go ahead and go through with this, like I said yesterday, I think he's looking at some serious prison time. So as this story continues to develop, we will continue to report. Last night, John Bolton did an exclusive interview with ABC News where he made some explosive comments about the president. He said that President Trump asked China to help him win the election. Obviously, the Russia collusion hoax didn't stick, so now they're going to try the China collusion hoax. This is a hilarious time to be alive in American politics. The Dems are panicking, and everything they do does not work. We are going to go ahead and continue to play this game because there's no way they're going to win. All right, guys, finally, there is some major trickery taking place in North Korea right now. Now, we know that recently they cut off diplomatic ties with South Korea. There was some type of disagreement, and then just the other day, they blew up their joint liaison office with South Korea, just completely out of the blue. Now, South Korea's Ministry of Unification has confirmed that this attack did in fact happen, and this is the meeting place where the two nations normally get together and do their diplomacy. And they've done it for a number of years, but all of a sudden North Korea decided to blow it up out of nowhere. Well, something else has happened today with North Korea. And it looks like if the Russian collusion hoax didn't work and the China collusion hoax won't work, the North Korean election interference is sure to work on behalf of the Dems and the clowns in America. Apparently, North Korea is very likely to attack the U.S. presidential election in November. Analysts have warned. Analysts is a fancy word for clowns in America agents. So apparently, according to them, North Korea is certain to attack the U.S. election system in November, and Kim Jong-un's regime has already threatened the possibility. They want to be able to test how far and to what extent it can damage the U.S. election system. This is somebody from the Center of Korean Studies and the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy at Tufts University. He said, "I fully expect North Korea to test its own capabilities to see what it can get away with by hacking into the U.S. election system. North Korea's cyber abilities are simply one of the best in the world," he noted. "It would be surprising if North Korea did not test its abilities during the election. I think that that is kind of a funny statement, considering that North Korea can't feed most of its people, but they have people who are smart enough to hack into every system in the known world. It seems more likely to me that the clowns in America and the deep state have their own agents positioned in North Korea, and they have their own system set up so that they can pretend to hack into any country in the world and then blame it on North Korea. And who is not going to believe them? There is a strange little man who runs the country. They are an isolationist country. Nobody knows much of anything about them except that, yes, they can't feed their people. I think that this is absolutely ridiculous. North Korea and the United States right now have the best relations they've ever had in the history of the known world. And with President Trump and Kim Jong-un having such an incredible relationship, the idea that North Korea would attack the United States basically sounds the death knell for Kim Jong-un and his own regime. He does not want war with the rest of the world. He would not have brokered the peace deal with the United States and the South if he did want to have war and he did want to upset the election. If he destroyed the election system in November, President Trump potentially would not be in there for a second term, and I think that North Korea would be looking at much worse diplomatic ties with the United States, because you can bet that if a Democrat gets in November, they're gonna need another boogeyman, and North Korea is the easiest one. All right, guys, well, that's all that I have for you today. I want to thank everyone for joining me. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless. I know it's hard to sit back and watch as these things happen. I know it's unsettling to watch as your friends are deplatformed, as the channels you like are destroyed and taken offline. But I myself promise you, I will not stop fighting until we attain the ultimate goal, and that is the recovery and recapture of our country in whole. It's not enough for us to take a few steps at a time. We must gain ground and never cede it back. This country was founded on free speech. This country was founded on equality. This country was founded on liberty. And we must never allow these people to take these tenets of our republic away from us. We must fight till the very last man. And I assure you that in November, that battle is going to come to a head. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless. Hey guys, one more thing. I just want to say thank you to everybody who has supported the channel. If you're interested in doing more, there is always links in the description below. I have the merch store. Of course, I also have the backup channels. Please subscribe to those. If you take a look up here, you're going to see a couple of other videos. There's also a spot to subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. And if you are subscribed, I ask you to please check and make sure that you're still subscribed and your notifications are turned on. Thank you, everybody, for watching the program, and I will see you tomorrow.